Okay guys, so in this video I'm going to be getting back to the rear end. Got a 1350 style flange, some U-bolts for that. This is a set of used gears, they're 327s. Both ring and pinion. And then a rebuild set with shims. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Also want to say guys, if you want to get entered on that giveaway, we're going to be doing a giveaway of that 60mm gate. If you want to go ahead and get on that giveaway, go back to the video, make sure you're subscribed, and leave a comment for a chance to win this. When we hit 330 subscribers, then we will be picking somebody to send this to. As always, thank you everybody for watching, and hope you guys enjoy this video. So this video is going to be a little bit different. I made all the footage that I had time lapse because I had close to an hour and a half, 2 hours of footage, and I didn't figure anybody would want to watch that if I just segmented it up. This axle that I had shortened in a previous video is an 8.8 out of the Explorer. It was a 373 geared rear end, and it's got the posi track or whatever they, Ford calls it. This has 373 gears in it, and I bought some gears out of a Crown Vic, which are a 327 ratio. We're just going to do a quick Regear rebuild, if you'd call it that. Put all new bearings, new seals in it, clean it out. The rear end was pretty nasty on the inside, so really cleaned it out, power washed it, oiled it down, and then set the gaps and stuff. But as you can see here, remove the center section out, and then I'm going to be just have all my races and shims set to the side and which way that they came out. And here I'm going to be removing the pinion. I'm not reusing this gear set, so it doesn't bother me to hammer on it. And this axle, what I've read and what I've done before is you take the shim set for the pinion depth off of the old set of gears and reuse it on the new set of gears. And that actually ended up working fine, so my pinion depth was correct. I've never seen it where you needed to change the pinion shim as far as needing to adjust it with going from one stock gear to a second stock gear. They're shimmed to the case dimensions, not to the gear dimensions. So they're pretty well standard across. So if you're not changing from case to case, then usually you can just reuse your same shim. And here I got a bunch of extensions piled together to drive out the axle bush or the axle bearings and seals. And then I took out both the pinion pinion races. I'm here at the shop I work at as well. I went there to use the power washer. Because the inside of the rear end was so dirty that I didn't want to waste a bunch of brake clean trying to spray it out. These axle bearings really did drive out hard. This guy here is doing victory laps around the parking lot. I don't really know why. He said something about he's making sure that his air was building up for his tire monitor system, and I kind of laughed. I don't really know what that has to do with driving around. Apparently it made him feel more safe if he was driving. But usually you just build up air in a semi and it'll tell you if it's working or not. I kind of dummied up and didn't move that standoff there that I was using, so I got right in the way of taking that off. I stole the same shim out, and then here I'm going to press the new bearing, new pinion on. With that same shim in between. Here I'm pressing off the bearings off the end of the carrier. Another thing kind of fought me on it, but eventually did get it. And this is pressing the new bearings onto the carrier. Definitely not optimal conditions to be doing rear end rebuild. It's kind of dirty here. This is the shop I work at. I didn't have a large enough press and access to it, so I just went to the shop and did it. This is way overkill. I mean, it's like I don't even know how many ton press the ram on it is, like 3 or 2.5 inches wide. When you're pounding these races in, make sure you use a soft punch. That's brass punch there. Yeah, and you know, a lot of the guys will say how you're supposed to set up a rear end, and what the book says is you get a second pinion bearing and then do like a mock-up pinion bearing, set your pinion depth. What you do with the mock-up bearing is you grind out the center of it so it's not a press fit, and then you can just stack shims in until the pinion depth is correct. But these 8/8s, they basically made a ton of these axles, and they would check every 5,000 axle assemblies or so. They didn't have somebody building axles that shimmed it every time. So most generally what you're going to find is on these 8/8s, they're either going to have a 28 thousandths pinion shim or a 30 thousandths pinion shim. I didn't even bother measuring it. I put in what came out of this axle and ended up being just fine. I did have a little problem here. I put on a 1350 traditional style yoke, and it had like a stepped flange in the end of it, and the seal, I'll probably end up having to get another seal, but the seal on this rear end is actually, it's made so that it lays on that machined surface, and if you put just the normal flange back in, it would be that same diameter. Well, on the 1350, it has like a step in it because it had that dust shield that I just knocked off of it. So that's actually that little flap there that just keeps the dust out of the seal is hitting on that ledge, and it's probably going to eat the end of that seal. I'll probably end up having to get a shorter style seal without that overhanging dust flap, because it made the pinion a little bit tight. What most people do on this is a crushed sleeve rear end, so you tighten it up until that crushed sleeve presses, and that sets a certain preload on it. But when you do a setup on these without a seal, what you want to do is, they say 8 inch-pounds up to 20 inch-pounds is the spec on it. What I usually do is put a wrench about 45 degrees from the ground, and as soon as it'll move, then as soon as it will slowly move down is when your preload is correct. I just put a breaker bar on there, but with this it wouldn't do that because that seal was rubbing. So I just went in until it was set to preload close enough for my standards, which are pretty wide open. And of course I reused the old ring gear bolts and put red Loctite on them. The ring gear torque for these is, I think, 89 to 109. I just went to 100 foot-pounds, torqued it on, and then we reused the same shim pack for the carrier is what I had taken out. I had it the first time I apparently mismatched them and put them in the wrong way, because when I originally put them in there, the backlash was way too tight. So I flip-flopped them side to side, and then we were pretty well golden. Or I thought it was close. You'll see here at the end I did have to play with the shim pack a little bit to get the backlash right, but it wasn't far out. Your hold down, or your caps for your rear end are, I can't remember the spec on it. I want to say it was 80, I think it was the same spec, 89 to 100 and something. I think I torqued that to the low end because it has bearings in it, so. Alright guys, so I got the caps torqued up. I'm going to try to do a backlash reading in front of the camera. And it's probably not going to cooperate. Okay, so it's at about 97 right now. And now it's at 80. It's at 16, so I need to add a shim to it. Alright, so I made a small shim adjustment. It's going from 30 to 41 and a half, which is about 11 and a half, 12. Specs from 8 thousandths up to 16 or 17, I can't remember offhand, but I'm gonna call that good enough. And I'll show you the gear tooth pattern on it. I checked the gear tooth pattern off camera just to make sure it's not something way out, because gear tooth pattern is off, then I have to move things around quite a bit, and which would mean taking the pinion back out, whatever else. But gear tooth pattern is good. Let me get on this side. I hope you guys can see it. It's you can see it on this lobe here, or this lobe, or this tooth. It's spread across the whole tooth. It's not too far in, too far. It's not on the edge of the tooth, and it's basically symmetrical right in the middle of the ring gear. So coast side doesn't look bad. I don't want to wave it around too much because it's going to be real hard to get that on camera, so I'll just tell you it's good, and if the rear end blows apart, then you guys can laugh at me. It's good enough for me though. 12 thousandths is in spec and close enough. So I got to get oil and limited slip additive to fill this up. I ordered a spring relocation kit for the car. I was gonna make it, but a place called US Car Tool makes a kit that is templated, holes are already drilled, you bolt it to the existing mounts, and then you cut out the old section of frame rail, weld it in. It's supposed to be the best kit there is out there. I'm gonna probably end up getting that here. I'm hoping for next week, but if not, then we'll do it the following week. We'll get this rear end in, thrown on, get some roller wheels, and be able to put the car back down on the ground with a narrowed rear end, strong rear end, and then we'll see if I need a mini tub to fit the wheels I want or not. Measure for backspacing, get the wheels ordered, and then I'll be able to order my drive shaft as well once this is in place. So as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. This one, I know it was a little weird, but all the sections I shot were about 10 to 15 minutes a piece, and instead of me just talk and work real time, I figured I'd speed them up and make it so it's more enjoyable to watch than just do a voiceover, because it's not I don't think you guys would watch an hour-long thing of me beating the races out and all this other stuff and moving parts. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you found it helpful. Like I said, I've only ever done one diff before, but from what I read, and it did turn out fine. All I had to do was change the shim pack a little bit for backlash reasons, and then we're good. So I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you found this content something you enjoyed. So have a good one, guys. Take it easy.